We're going to start the program now. My name is Ed Ciccarello. Welcome to the Rocky Hill Senior/Community Center. We're glad to have you. I am the current president of the Rocky Hill Historical Society, and I want to welcome you to our program entitled The Story of Rocky Hill's Indian Culture. This program is a collaboration with our friends at the Cora J. Belden Library. We have Maylia Carlisle over here, who is the children's librarian. Of course, if you don't know Mary Hogan is the director. And it's a collaboration between a number of new friends that I've made over the course of the last few months. One being TJ Nanavanti Vellam, who is right here, wave TJ, and Haditha Nagabandi over here, Purnima Shah, and I don't know where Purnima is right now, but and Apurna. I think she may be still trying. We had a little issue here with people in GPS. So I apologize for that. Evidently, when you put in the GPS for the Senior Community Center, you wind up over there where there's no door. We're going to rectify that in the future, and we're going to figure out how to make that better. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about the Historical Society, and then we're going to get right into our program. The Historical Society is an all-volunteer nonprofit. We were established in 1962 with the purpose of protecting, preserving, and promoting the history of Rocky Hill, its landscape, and its people. And you can come to visit us. We're over at Academy Hall. I don't know if anybody's been here. Let's take a quick poll. How many people have been to Academy Hall Museum? Raise your hand. Yeah. Well, that means a lot of you could have a chance to come over. We're right literally over there. We're open on Saturdays, 12:30 to 3, and we're also open by appointment, and best of all, we're free. And what's better than free history, right? Maybe free ice cream, you know? So at Academy Hall, we have a core group of people, a core group of volunteers that go in on Tuesdays to do the work of the society. What might that be, you ask? Well, presently we're working on creating a searchable website for Center Cemetery. We're also constructing historic point of interest signs for this old triangle. You are in the triangle right now. At one time, people knew Rocky Hill, this section, as the old triangle. And we're going to have point of interest signs soon. We got a grant from the Christine Mosier Foundation, so you'll see them up in the spring. And we're going to have another program here in November. We could hope you would consider coming. It's called the Continental Vocal Quartet. And we'll have some high school students who will be singing some music from I think it's the 1800s. So come and check that out. We began our programming this year in 2022 with our annual meeting, and we're asking the question, who are we as a town, Rocky Hill? You could see the documentary video style video that I did. It's on our website. It's about a 15-minute long video that looks through the different cultures of Rocky Hill, starting with the indigenous culture, the Pequogs or the Wangogs who lived right down on the meadows, and going all the way through into our present culture that's migrated here, and the Indian folks from India. So we found that Rocky Hill is, this is a fact, the demographics of Rocky Hill is 70% white, 5% black, 5% Hispanic, and about 20% of Indian origin. So, yeah, you can give a hand. Go ahead, feel free. And we also found out that at the Historical Society, we did not have a lot of documentation on the Indian culture. So that's where we have a lot on the indigenous Indians, but we don't have it for the Eastern Indian origin folks. And so that was part of our outreach. We wanted to reach out, sort of, I guess, in a selfish way, because we're a historical society, and we wanted to gather information, and this is the beginning of that. If you have an interest, contact me either here, or we also have a couple other representatives from the Historical Society. Lori Wallace is over there. Raise your hand, Lori. She's right over there. And John Sarah is over there too. Talk to any one of us about contributing. If you have a genealogy from your family, excuse me, and if you'd like to share your history, because that's our job. We want to document history, and so we hope that you could step up and share that with us. The presentation today, let me get back to my screen. Here we go. So the presentation today will be both educational and entertaining. Our guest speaker is a retired professor from the University of Wisconsin. Her name is Lashmi Tatakonda, and she taught math and accounting for 7 years out there. She's going to be speaking about the Indian culture. You will hear a story of Diwali by TJ. And after that, you'll be treated to a number of Indian dances organized by Harita and Purnima. I'm going to try to pronounce all of them, if I may. So give me a second. So the first one is Bharatanatyam, something like that. Did I get it close? Yes. The second one is Kathak. The third one is Kuchipudi. And the third one is Garba. Okay? After that, we're going to have food, which is catered by Rajiv Desai, and a hands-on project for the kids decorating diyas and diya wall hangings with Malia, Apurna, and Haritha. So if we can get started, I would gladly love to introduce our retired professor, Lashmi Tatakonda. Please.
This would be fine. Okay. Namaste. Happy Deepavali. I want to thank Rocky Hill Historic Society for giving me this opportunity to speak to you about the influences of Indian community in United States. What I'm presenting today is based on my own experiences, interpretation of the events, and information I collected from various websites. Okay, let's get started. How many of you heard the word yoga? Raise your hand. Very nice. Okay. What is this red dot on my forehead is called? Perfect. How many of you have tasted samosa? Ah, okay. Well, great. Well, these are just few cultural things that Indians have brought to you and brought to USA. Culture evolves over time and it includes religion, predominantly Hindu religion, festivals, dance, music, as you will see today, food. I think we're going to have some food. I do notice a little samosa in the picture. Can you see it? What we wear, you can see. How we wear it, our language, our marriages, what we believe is right or wrong, and also how we greet each other. And when I came here, I was not sure, about the American culture. We are used to say namaste, and here it's a handshake. The culture I grew up, you don't touch other men. So I was extremely uncomfortable when I tried to shake hands. So before they offer their hand, I would go namaste. That's my way of avoiding touching them. How culture changed. Now I don't even think about it. Hi, how are you? It doesn't even get into my head anymore. Okay. Years ago, we know very little about each other, American and Indians. American perception of India was dead cows and snake charmers. That's how they all thought India was about. And for us, America meant cowboys and gunfights in the streets. There were a lot of perceptions and misunderstandings When I came to USA in 1962, I didn't see any cowboys. I was kind of disappointed. Okay, and couple of examples I will go with. When I walked to school, a lady stopped me, said, "Read me, read." I said, "There's nothing to read. Read, read." She was yelling at me. She thought I was a gypsy. And they didn't know the difference between gypsy and other Indians. And another example is my own. It sounds kind of crazy. When I was walking, I noticed a guy was following me. Well, for a day, I didn't care what it is. And I noticed this guy was following me just about every day, back and forth, that maybe he has classes at the same time. And in my own mind, I was a little worried. He's stalking me. He's going to do something bad to me. And one day he stopped me and said, "I'd like to take you for dinner. Are you free Saturday?" Petrified, ran as fast as I could. Our apartment is not that far. And luckily, my next door neighbor was there. He said, "Lakshmi, what's the matter?" I said, "That guy is going to kidnap me." He said, "What happened? What happened?" I said, "No." He said, "He wanted to take me to dinner," and he laughed and laughed. He said, "No, he likes you. He wants to date with you." I said, "What is a date?" Date is a date. Like, October 29, 2022. That is a date for me. I don't know what this date is. So he explained the culture. So, yes, I've been along from that type of cultural issues and problems. And this is a historical society event. So, how about some historical perspectives of Indian immigrants? When we came, why we came, and what are our contributions to American society? I'll be talking in general society, and same things apply to Rocky Hill also. Okay? All right, let's say early influences. They go back more than 100 years ago. American transcendental movement influenced by the teachings of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. Then early 1900, writers Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson borrowed ideas from Karma Yoga, the path of work without attachment, and selfless service, and Jnana Yoga, path to knowledge. And 1893, Swami Vivekananda introduced Vedanta. 1920, Paramahamsa Yogananda promoted yoga, which you all said you know yoga. The first Hindu temple in North America was built in 1906 in San Francisco, believe it or not. Currently, there are over 4 million people of Indian origin in the United States, with a fascinating diversity of languages, religions, attires, food, you name it. Early Indian immigrants found work mainly in agriculture, lumber, railroad, and other industries. For a long time, their presence remained relatively small. The reason is a Loose Seller Act of 1946 established a yearly quota of only 100 Indian immigrants. Believe it, only 100 per year. In my experience, Indian immigrants came to USA not as a continuous steady stream, but in a kind of waves. The very first wave, 1960s, in May 25, 1961, President Kennedy, newly elected at that time, said, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a moon and returning him safely to Earth." That was his pledge. He didn't live to see it, but that pledge was fulfilled. But to achieve this goal, US needed engineers, scientists, mathematicians, and talented educated professionals. Where do you find them? Well, they pumped millions and millions of dollars of funding to universities. And the universities invited grad students from engineering, science, and so on. This is the first wave. And large number of students and a few postdoctoral fellows at that time came. Me and my husband, we came in 1962 as grad students, as a PhD students, he in engineering and me in mathematics. And this is a very interesting group of Indian immigrants. And some of you may think, oh, was it like that? Yes, it was. We have little time because we are all students. And we have little money because we depended on stipends, assistantships, and we have little exposure to US culture. So we all kind of huddled together. We needed the security of being together. We celebrated our festivals, believe it or not, practically in isolation with our own family, And sometimes we get together in somebody's house, hardly a dozen people or so, like that. And we got Indian groceries online. There were no grocery stores. And Indian restaurants were practically non-existent. Compared to culture of today, Rocky Hill has probably half a dozen Indian restaurants, or maybe more. Okay, then came an interesting thing. 1965, Immigration and Nationality Act. Lyndon Johnson was instrumental in doing this. Removed the national origin quotas, no more quotas. And they created a 7-category preference system that gave priority to relatives and children of US immigrants, US citizens and legal permanent residents, professionals, other individuals with specialized skills, and refugees, believe it or not. Yes, we pledged we will welcome refugees. And then came the second wave. This wave was pretty mild, both in terms of the number, in terms of what they can do, or so. Then the second wave came. This is like late 1970s or 1980s. There was a shortage of medical professionals. Medical schools seats were limited. Even if they want to add, it will take several years to graduate MDs. And also it's expensive. So here comes the Indians. Okay, another wave of medical professionals came. And today, there are about 80,000 Indian origin doctors practicing in the United States. It's almost like 1 in 7 medical professionals. And they have become a very, very powerful influence both in the medical community and community in the society and so on. By this time, Indian population increased because now we don't have that quota. We brought families together. Okay. We started building temples, restaurants, engaging in social activities, and much more. Today, there are about 900 Hindu temples in this country. Okay, now are we ready for it? The third wave started about late 1900s, the IT professionals. How many of you remember Y2K hoopla? Okay. End of the year, normally we'll be excited, making plans for the New Year's Eve. No, not in 1999. Everyday people to high-powered government officials were concerned about the potential impact of a Y2K bug. People were stocking up on canned food, toilet paper, preparing for a disaster to strike, And you remember, it sounds a little bit like our lockdown situation, hoarding and toilet paper. Okay, there were concerns that computer systems may stop working at midnight 1999 2000. Okay, stock prices of bank stock prices took a nosedive. Anxious customers withdraw whatever they have in from their banks. Banks have kept a record-breaking $21 billion cash on hand to meet all these demands. Rumors were floating. Planes would drop from the sky at midnight, so nobody wanted to travel anymore. Power plants, nuclear facilities, computer-controlled missile systems would all fail, leading to something like Chernobyl-style disaster. It was a total chaos, huge mess. Government put their thinking caps, hardware, software companies hurried to find people with skills to solve all the Y2K problems. Where do you find them? The talented people with computer knowledge. Presto, the floodgates are open. Believe it or not, as many as 100,000 computer specialists from India came to US per year at that beginning of the third wave of immigrants, Indian immigrants. About 2/3 of the current Indian immigrants, we call them IT generation, came in the third wave. I think in Rocky Hill, I would say 90% of them are IT people, right? Maybe even more. And these people, I really thank them every day. These people brought tremendous amount of Indian culture to us. They brought restaurants. They brought, I would say, lack of better terms, junk food. If you see Indian grocery stores, you'll see the whole aisle of ready-made foods on the frozen and the dry goods. And they brought music and dance, as you can see. There are a lot of dance schools in this country now. And Indian movies become also popular. If you see Netflix, lots of Indian movies. Okay. And they played a significant role in bringing Indian culture. Attires. At one time, they have no clue what this thing was. That's the way they referred. What is this thing? How do you wear it? When I tell them there are no stitches, how do you keep it on? I said, oh yeah, it's a strapless dress. Okay. They took fancy of this. And now restaurants, not only restaurants, I was surprised. I saw Matar Paneer in Stop and Shop grocery, frozen food section. Okay, so that's how popular the food became. And festivals. At one time, as I said, we used to celebrate in immediate family and small groups. Now we visit our temples to celebrate, and we celebrate with the community like what we are doing today here. Hindu festivals are acknowledged in US. Now we can pick up fireworks and Deepavali decorations in lot of stores. Hallmark is selling Deepavali greeting cards. Okay. But let me say, life of immigrants is not all that rosy. We experienced hatred, discrimination, attacks from anti-Indian groups. But we immigrants are tough people. We are resilient and steadfast. Immigrants know how to succeed with limited resources under difficult situations. Immigrants contributed to United States in many ways. Few examples. Well, as I said, every time America needed talented, educated, well-trained people. Indians were among the first people to come and fill the void. We Indians learned to blend Hindu and American values. Okay. At one time, raised as a vegetarian, I had no clue of meat. When I first time saw big chunks of meat in the grocery store, I almost fainted. And I try to avoid that aisle completely. I just go and pick up my own thing. Now I don't mind if somebody is sitting there with eating chicken and all the bones. That doesn't bother me anymore. I don't eat it, but that doesn't bother me. That's how we learn to understand each other. It's not what you do right or wrong. No, there's absolutely nothing like that. But it's what we need. We become active participants in professional, social, cultural, and political activities and much more. Founded many successful companies and created numerous jobs, generously donated to education, charities, and various societal activities. Of course, we also paid billions of dollars in taxes. Well, this is what Rocky Hill Indians are about. Okay. Q&A, okay? I'm done. Okay, this is what I plan to say, and thank you, and once again, namaste. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take.
Thank you very much. Can we have a round of applause, please, for Professor Tadikonda? We're going to move along with our presentation today. We're going to have a story of Diwali now with TJ.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Professor. That was actually a great presentation. I learned so much myself. And as the professor said, one of the things that we try to do is integrate into the fabric of the American culture. And the way we realize to do that is if we can bring what we know, bring our celebrations to the forefront. As much as my children celebrate Christmas, they also celebrate Diwali. And for that same reason, we think it's better that the Hindu culture is very open, it's very elaborate, at the same time it's very inclusive. So the story of Diwali is very important. For us, I have been here practically my whole life. I was 8 years old when I moved to the United States, and both my children have been born and raised here. So a lot of things that we do is also difficult because as our children grow up here, they, of course, bring home a lot of American culture, which is great. And we as parents try to find a blend between both of them. And one of the things that I've done over the years is every Diwali, I've recited this story to my children over and over and over and again, point where now they no longer want to celebrate Diwali, and they just want to get right to the food and the gifts. But so I'm happy that I have some audience today that I can share the story of Diwali with again. As I say the story of Diwali, it's a very condensed version today. Obviously, I don't have your ears for a good hour and a half, right, Ed? No, okay. So I'll make it brief, and then if there's any part of it that seems interesting and you guys would like to know more, feel free to reach out to me. I'm all about talking. So as I say the story, just try to see, there's a lot of principles in the story that relate to our daily lives, and that's the whole beauty of either the story of Christmas or a lot of the stories from the Bible, also from the Ramayana, which is where the story of Lord Ram and Diwali stems from. So I will start from here. Okay. Diwali is celebrated for Lord Ram. And the story, there's, as the professor mentioned, there's a couple of scriptures, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Ramayana, and the story of Ram comes from Ramayana. And it's a very lengthy story, but this portion of it is very interesting. It starts with Dasrath Raja, a king of Ayodhya, the kingdom of Ayodhya. Dasrath Raja, Dasrath king, the king Dasrath, had 3 wives. His second wife, when he married her, she had him promise that it was a difficult marriage. She wasn't agreeing, and he said, I'm a king. I'm actually the king of the largest kingdom in India. I can offer you anything you'd like. She, being a very smart woman, held on to that wish and said, I need nothing now, but when I do want something, I will let you know. And so he said, fine, they got married, and she was the second wife. His first wife is their son is Ram. The second son is Bharat. And the second wife, Kaikai, the problem with her was that she, as much as she loved the sons, there was 4 sons, there was a third wife, there was 2 sons. There was Lakshman. So actually, I won't go into the details, I apologize. So nonetheless, what happened is Ram was to be the heir, and he was the most beloved son of them all, and he was very well respected. He was the bravest. He was a great warrior, and he was very loved by the community at large. And the passing of the throne to him was supposed to be a very momentous occasion for all the people of Ayodhya. Unfortunately, the night before the coronation, the second wife, Kaikai, went to the king, and she was very unhappy, and she decided, because she wanted her son, Bharat, to be the king, what she decided is to go up to the king, and she said, remember, you promised me something. You promised me something anytime I'd like it, and now I'd like to ask for my wish. The king, thinking nothing more, she was a very, very good wife. She was actually one of the smarter wives that actually helped him with a lot of his strategies for war. He thought because of the coronation and all, she would ask for jewels, anything like that. But no, what she asked for was that Ram be banished to the jungle for 14 years. He was shocked. He didn't understand what she was asking. And he said, Kaikai, please rethink your words. What is it that you're asking me to do? Tomorrow is the coronation. Our beloved son Ram will take over as king of Ayodhya. This is what we have been waiting for. And she insisted. She said, no. She said, you told me the promise of, you promised me a wish. This is my wish, that Ram go to the jungle and live like the common person for 14 years. And in the meantime, my son Bharat will sit on the throne. The king was absolutely devastated. He didn't know what to do. He was absolutely in shock. He couldn't believe what was happening. Could it be that his own wife was betraying him? I hope you can see some correlations on what it is that's happening here. But the king had no choice. He had promised, so he had no choice but to somehow bear the brunt of having to go tell Ram what has happened and grant her her wish. The night before, he went to Ram and he said to Ram, Ram, I apologize. I did make this promise, and unfortunately, I don't know what to do. Ram, being the loyal son that he had always been, said, why are you so worried, Dad? Father, I will go. If this is what we have to do, this is my duty. This is what I have to do. I will do it. And I will go, and Bharat can certainly be the king. I have no problems with that. And so Ram decided he would leave to go to the jungle live for 14 years. His beautiful wife Sita, who had lived in the life of comfort her whole entire existence, insisted that she go with him. He said no. He said, no, this is my duty. I must acknowledge my duty. Sita, of course, said, no, I will not leave my husband alone. I will go with you. This is also my duty. One of the brothers was Lakshman. He was a very devoted brother to Ram. And he said, I will come for the protection of Sita. and you. I will not let you go into the jungle by yourselves." Unfortunately, that day was a devastating day for the king. Not only did he lose Ram, but he also lost Sita, and he also lost Lakshman. He couldn't believe what was happening to his own kingdom, and because of the shock that came, he passed away. This is just a symbolic picture I put of Ram, Sita, and the younger brother Lakshman. As they were leaving their kingdom, they gave up all their jewels, they gave up all of their wealth, all of their belongings, and they left in simple robes as they entered the jungle. Bharat, who was the second son, soon to take over the throne, couldn't believe what his mother had done. He thought she betrayed not only the kingdom, but she betrayed him, because this was not his wish, this was her wish. He never wanted to be the king. He wanted Ram to take over. He was looking forward to the coronation. He insisted, he said, "No, this is your wish, not mine. And I do not accept this. I will not sit on that throne." As much as Kaikeyi insisted that he sit on the throne, Bharat, being a very, very loyal brother, knowing this was wrong, ethically wrong, and this would not be good for the kingdom at all, and his heart fell for none of it. He took Ram's slippers before he left, and he placed them on the bottom of the throne, on the ottoman of the throne, and said, "This throne will stay vacant. It will wait for 14 years. It will wait for the return of Ram, and because he is the rightful king, not me." And so the slippers stayed for 14 years outside of the throne, and never was that throne sat on by Bharat. Now comes the bad part of the story. Of course, with every story, there has to be a demon, and in this particular story, the demon's name is Ravan. Ravan was an evil king of Lanka. He was a true disciple of the Lord Shiva, very much so that without understanding the amount of evilness in him, he was granted many, many boons, many, many gifts from the Lord. One of those was that he actually was known to have 10 heads. He was indestructible, is what I mean by this. It's such that, and he wreaked havoc. When he realized that Ram was no longer to be the king of Ayodhya, and Dasarath, the king, had passed away himself, he wreaked havoc all over the land. And there was nowhere you could be touched. He had many, many powers. One of the things that Ravan decided he wanted was he set his eyes on Sita, Ram's wife. He insisted that she would become his wife. Of course, he had an entire kingdom of wives, but the prize was Sita. And he insisted he wanted Sita and only Sita. Now, it was much easier with Ram, Lakshman, and Sita in the forest without the protections of the kingdom. How easy would it be for him to get Sita? This is where I've tried to put a few little things on the side. This is where a human's wrong path. What does it lead to? These are some of the things that I try to tell my children as to the stories of Ramayana, the story of this, what it means to them. So Ram, Lakshman, and Sita are in the jungle. They come across very many people, and a lot of wonderful stories of that are part of the Ramayana, which we don't have time to get into today. But one day, Ram, Sita, and Lakshman were sitting outside, and Sita spots a golden deer, a beautiful golden deer just dancing through the jungle. All of a sudden, Sita, a person who has given up everything in her life, she wanted nothing to do with the jewels, the clothing, nothing with the power. All of a sudden, she saw this deer, and she said, "Wow, that golden deer is absolutely stunning." And she insisted that Ram go get her the deer. Ram said, "Sita, it's a deer. I can't chase the deer and bring him to you." Sita insisted. She said, "No, this is what I want. I would like that deer. Please bring it to me." Ram had no choice. He left her, and he said, "Fine, I will go get you the deer." He asked Lakshman to stay and protect Sita, make sure, because he knew that throughout the time, Ravan was lingering and was just waiting for an opportunity to come grab her. So Lakshman, being the faithful brother, stayed by Sita's side. The day went on. Ram didn't return. Night came. Ram didn't return. Sita and Lakshman were both worried. Where is Ram? What happened? Why is he still chasing that deer? Suddenly, Sita changed her mind. She said, I no longer want this deer. I didn't realize it was going to be such a trouble. I don't want the deer. I just want Ram back home. She was so worried. Lakshman was worried. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't leave Sita alone, but at the same time, someone had to go find Ram. Lakshman decided he would go look for Ram. Lakshman took his arrow and drew a circle around the hut. That circle was going to give protection to Sita. As long as Sita didn't leave that circle, she would be protected. These are gods, they have certain powers, and that was the power of that circle. He drew it around and he said to Sita, Sita, under no circumstances are you to set foot outside of this circle until Ram and I return. Please respect my wishes. Sita said, of course, I will not leave this circle. I will stand here and pray for your safe return, and I will pray that you bring Ram back to me. Ravan was there. Actually, that deer was Ravan. Ravan had one of the few powers to disguise himself. And he had tried many different ways to attract Sita. He couldn't. Finally, he took the avatar of a deer, and it tricked her. It tricked her to go get him. As soon as Lakshman left, he decided to show up in many different forms to try to trick Sita to step outside the circle, because if she stepped out the circle, he could take her. Sita would not give in until he came in the form of an old man, a beggar, walking in the jungles. He was thirsty. He said to Sita, he came to the hut and he said, I'm an old man. I've been walking for days. I'm so thirsty. Won't you give me a drink of water? Won't you let me come inside and just have a small rest in your hut? Sita said no. She said, I'm sorry. I would never say no to you, except for today. My husband is not home. I'm not to welcome you in. He cried and he said, but I'm just so old. I'm so thirsty. Won't you at least give me a drink of water? Sita saw no harm in that. She's not going to leave the circle anyways. She said, if you stand outside of that circle, I will get you a glass of water. He said, for sure, of course, I will stand outside. I respect your wishes. Sita thought, well, what's the harm? Let me go get a glass of water for him. She ran inside. She grabbed a glass of water. Ah, perfect, Ravan thought. This is my opportunity. Little does Sita understand the power of that circle. She didn't step outside the circle. What she did do is take the glass of water and hand it to him. And he was far enough away from the circle where her hand would have to cross the path of the circle. And as soon as she did, Ravan grabbed her wrist. She broke the trust. She broke the protection of the circle. And Sita immediately saw Ravan come in form, and she was scared. But it was too late. She screamed, Ram, Ram, but there was no one there to hear her cries, and Ravan had finally gotten his prize. He finally grabbed Sita and took her. He took her away, and Ram heard Sita cry, and Lakshman also heard Sita cry. They didn't know where she was, they didn't know what had happened, but they both assumed it was Ravan who had taken her. They got back to the hut as quickly as possible, only to see that Ravan had put Sita in his chariot and had taken off for Lanka. Lanka is currently believed to be Sri Lanka, which I'm sure you guys know it's on the south side of India, on the tip. And they couldn't stop him. There was no way to stop him. There was many who tried. There was many people who saw Ravan. They heard Sita crying, and they tried. But there was no way to stop Ravan. He was too powerful, and it was gone. He captured Sita, took her back to Lanka, and he insisted that he would keep her very happy, more happy than Ram. Ram had given her nothing after all. What had he given her? A hut? Nothing. She didn't even have proper shoes, not even enough food. She's a goddess. She's a princess. He would treat her as such in his kingdom of Lanka. Sita wanted none of it. He was respectful enough to never do anything to Sita. He said, I will make you want to be my wife. You will see what a good person I am. I am not the evil king that everyone says I am. Watch, Sita. You will absolutely adore me. Sita wanted none of it. She wanted only Ram. He brought her jewels. She wanted none of it. He brought her food. She wasn't hungry. He brought her doves to play with. She could care less. It didn't matter. All she wanted was to go back, and Ravan wouldn't release her. At the end, Ram and Lakshman figured out where Sita was. She was in Lanka. Now, to get to Lanka at this time was impossible. You had to cross an entire ocean. How do you get there? Ram was lost. Lakshman was lost. But the forest came with them. A lot of people came to help, but they got to the tip of India and they looked at Lanka across the ocean and they said, the waters are so turbulent. How do we reach there? How do we free Goddess Sita? And that's when the monkey god Hanuman has come into the story. Hanuman was also an incarnation of Lord Shiva. When he realized what Ravan was doing, he said, I must come to aid Ram, and I must put this world back right. The world is out of balance at this point. Lakshman was there, but he wasn't enough. And so Hanuman came. Hanuman, we worship him very much so. He came to the rescue. He had amazing powers. And one of the powers that he had was one to fly. And he put his tail on fire and lit the entire Lanka, a city of Lanka, on fire. There's more stories as to how Ram and Lakshman actually reached to the other side and freed Sita. But this is why Hanuman is known. If you ever come to one of our temples, you will see a statue of Ram in the middle, Lakshman and Sita on the sides, and on the bottom there will be a praying statue of Hanuman. Hanuman is the biggest devotee of Ram, and after seeing how much Hanuman helped him, Ram made a point to say, there is a puja that we do. Diwali is celebrated over 5 days, and one of the days is Hanuman's puja. And he made sure that it was done before him to honor the sacrifice that Hanuman made for him. After reaching Lanka and setting the entire city on fire, Ram came and was able to destroy. He knew how. He knew where to hit Ravan's head so he would be actually destroyed. And that happened, and they freed Sita and brought her back to Ayodhya. This is the final story of how evil was finally destroyed, and the reign of Ravan, which had just terrorized the country for hundreds of years, how it was destroyed. But the sacrifices that it took to get to that point is what Diwali is about. After the destruction of Ravan, it was time for Ram to come back home. When Ram was to come back to Ayodhya, the city was absolutely exhilarated. They were so happy to welcome them back home. They were happy to have a king who is righteous back on the throne. They insisted every house must be lit with these diyas, because the diya symbolizes not only the vanishing of the darkness, but the welcoming of light, the welcoming of righteousness back into the right path of the world. So every single house, they said, insisted, every path, every sidewalk, everything must be lit, completely lit, for the welcoming of Ram back to Ayodhya. And so the diyas were lit. And so every household had diyas, every single place, and Ram was welcomed back. When Ram was welcomed back, he saw that his slippers were still sitting there. He didn't know what happened. Bharat told him, no one has occupied your throne because no one is worthy of this throne but yourself. Thank you for everything you've done for Ayodhya. Thank you for everything you've done for the world. This throne belongs to you and only you. Ram took the throne of Ayodhya, and that day became the celebration of Diwali. And from that day on, every single day, every single Diwali, you will find diyas lit in temples, in homes, everywhere, as a reminder of the faith, as a reminder of what it takes to bring the path back to goodness in this world. And it's not easy, but somebody must do it, and an entire force of people come behind. And that is why Diwali is so significant to the Indian culture, and that is why we're happy to share it with you today. There's much more about the story, but this is, I hope, a small glimpse on why Diwali is so critical and so important to all of us. And we wish everyone light over darkness And anytime you come to crossroads in your life, as the Ramayana stories have shown us, what is the right path to take is always difficult. Why someone like Sita would make a decision for a golden deer is impossible. Why Kaikai would overlook her son, her first son, for the second son is also something that we can't understand. But we must understand. It happens. But the thing is, once it happens, how do we move forward? That is the story of Ram, and that is the story of Diwali. Thank you so much.
Thank you, TJ. So that's the story. There you go. We're going to have some dancing now. Would anybody like to see some dancing? Huh? What? What? Yes, of course. Yes. I would like to introduce Haritha, and she will begin to tell us about the dancing, and then we'll enjoy some music and dance.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, so my name is Harita Nagabandi, and we have been in Connecticut and in Rocky Hill since 2006. Both of my kids are studied in Rocky Hill schools. My older one graduated, and he's a sophomore at UConn. Younger one goes to high school. So apart from that, actually I'm also full time. I'm a software engineer. Apart from that, I also volunteer in Rocky Hill, and recently I'm honored to be part of the Rocky Hill Sustainable team, which Ed is also part of, and some of the other people. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Indian dance forms. So I'll start with the origin and the forms. So as you know, India is known for its rich cultural heritage. So when you start looking at it, the Indian classical dances are also one of the revered identity of the Indian culture. People in India, they actually love art. So they try to get art into dancing, and they actually brought into the culture. So whenever they get an opportunity, it's like celebration. So that is when we talk about Indian dance, it's more like a celebration that they do. So these are all evolved or originated from one a thesis called Natya Shastra, and which has been, and the classical dancing has been since 2000 BC. So there are two different forms of dances when you start thinking about Indian dances. One is classical and the other is folk. So there is a little bit I wrote about what is the difference between the classical dance and the folk. So again, right, it's more about the grace. When you'll see both forms today. We have teams doing it. So pretty much classical dance is being done by the professional dancers, and you will see that grace and composure, and it ties back to the spirituality. And folk dances is pretty much done by the common people and the social gathering. Of course, you'll see that energy and enthusiasm in them. So that is about the forms and origin. So I'll talk a little bit about classical forms here. So so the Indian classical dancing usually happens at the festivals and cultural events. And the dances, you will be seeing one after another. Today we have three dance forms that we will perform. So you will see them wearing traditional wear, and you'll see them with the jewelry. Of course, they also wear something on their foot with jingles as they dance. So this is pretty much a traditional, it's more like a dance drama form where the dancers actually they actually dance it to the music and the beat that it actually plays. They take the character of the song and they try to emotionally get connected to that song and the audience. And of course, right, that is how they, using their facial expressions and gestures, they actually connect to the audience and also to the song. So the classical dance forms, right, there are many which I'll show in the next slide. Pretty much based upon the region and the customs, the dance forms have been originated or changed. So I will take it to the next slide. This is a small typical of, it's an India map, right? And there are 8 classical dance forms. And today, you can see on the map, you see all the dance forms highlighted and from the different states. Even though they all originated from the same Natya Shastra, depending upon the region, depending upon the culture, depending upon the people, the dance styles changed. So today we are going to see three different dance styles: Bharatanatyam, Kathak, and Kuchipudi. And again, right, so there is, I just talked about Sangeet Natak Academy. They are the ones who kind of have recognized these 8 as the classical dance forms. Going to the next one, which is my last slide, is folk dances. Folk dances, as I touched upon, is pretty much done by the common people or in the social gatherings. So there are 30 folk dances in India, and you see the map with different folk dances that you see. And they are typically consist of simple steps which anyone can just gather and do it. So the well-known folk dances that we see are Bhagra, Rauf, Garba. Garba is one thing that they will be presenting today also by Purnima, and Kalbelia, Lavani, Chau, Bihu, and Raut. So that's about the dance forms. If any questions, I'll be able to take it later. So now, without due, I want to introduce the dancers. Yep. So the first one here will be Bharatanatyam. Bharatanatyam is the oldest classical dance form originated from Tamil Nadu, India. It is known for detailed hand movements depicted through sign language and disciplined footwork consisting of half squat. So today's Bharatanatyam dance will be presented by the students of Arundhati's Natyalaya, and it was choreographed by Arundhati Jayapati. The dancers are Advita, Manyata, Sahasra, Ananya, Veena, and Mahati. Please come to the dance.
தாண்டவம் ஆடினார், ஆனந்த தாண்டவம் ஆடினார். பலக்கை உடுக்கை இடக்கை நெருப்பை ஏந்திய இல்லை கூத்தன் இடது பதம் தூக்கி ஆனந்த தாண்டவம் ஆடினார். பலக்கை உடுக்கை இடக்கை நெருப்பை ஏந்திய இல்லை கூத்தன் இடது பதம் தூக்கி ஆனந்த தாண்டவம் ஆடினார். பலக்கை உடுக்கை இடக்கை நெருப்பை ததி கிண்ட தஜம் தஜம் ததி தக ததி தஜம் ததி கிண்ட தகதி தகனகஜம் தரி கிண்ட தக ததி கிண்ட தஜம் தஜம் தக ததி தக தரி தஜம் ததி கிண்ட ததி தகனகஜம் தரி கிண்ட தக தாம் தஜம் ததி கிண்ட தகதி தகனகஜம் தரி கிண்ட தக தாம் தஜம் ததி கிண்ட ததி தகனகஜம் தரி கிண்ட தக தி தகனகஜம் தரி கிண்ட தக ததி தன ஜொல் திமி ததி கிண்ட தி தரி தன ஜொல் திமி ததி கிண்ட தக ததி கிண்ட தி தரி தன ஜொல் திமி ததி கிண்ட தக ததி கிண்ட தக தி ததி கிண்ட ஆனந்த தாண்டவம் ஆடினார் ஆனந்தம் பரமானந்தம் ஆனந்தம் பரமானந்தம் ஐயனாடும் தாண்டவ தரிசனமானந்தம் பரமானந்தம் ஐயனாடும் தாண்டவ தரிசனமானந்தம் பரமானந்தம் ஐயனாடும் தாண்டவ தரிசனமானந்தம் பரமானந்தம் ரிசனி படி சரி ரிமத்ரி ரிம பாமரி நிரிச ரிசனி படி சரி ரிமத்ரி ரிம பாமரி நிபாம மரி பமனி பசனி மபனி சரி மத்ரி ரி பாமரி ரிச படி ரிச சாரி நிரிசனி படி ச பதனி பப பானி பனி பமரி பாபடி சாரி சாரி நிரிசனி படி ச பதனி பப பானி பனி பமரி பாபடி சாரி சரி 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 மரி மரி பாமரி மரி சரி சபானி சரி மரி நீள் சடை முடி தரித்து பறித்த புலியாடையும் தரித்து நீள் சடை முடி தரித்து பறித்த புலியாடையும் தரித்து டமடமடமயனட மருக ஒழிக்க டமடமடமயனட மருக ஒழிக்க கபால மாலையும் அசைந்தாட சுற்றி அரவமுடு நெற்றி கணல் எறிய பற்றிய திருவடி முக்தி அளித்திட சுற்றி அரவமுடு நெற்றி கணல் எறிய பற்றிய திருவடி முக்தி அளித்திட ஹர ஹர சிவயன அண்டமே ஒளித்திட தொழுமேனி சிரித்திட ஆனந்தம் பரமானந்தம் ஐயனாடும் தாண்டவ தரிசனம் ஆனந்தம் பரமானந்தம் நம சிவாய ஓம் நம சிவாய
ಜನ್ನ ಕಿಟ್ಟ 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 ತಕ್ಕುಡು ದಿಕ್ಕುಡು ತರಿಗಿಡದ ತಕ್ಕುಡು ದಿಕ್ಕುಡು ತಕ ತರಿಗಿಡದ ಕಿಣ್ಣಂ ಜಕ್ಕಿಣ್ಣಂ ತಕ್ಕ ಜನ್ನ ಕಿಟ್ಟ 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 ತಕ್ಕುಡು ದಿಕ್ಕುಡು ತರಿಗಿಡದ ತಕ್ಕುಡು ದಿಕ್ಕುಡು ತಕ ತರಿಗಿಡದ ಕಿಣ್ಣಂ ಜಕ್ಕಿಣ್ಣಂ ತಕ್ಕ ಜನ್ನ ಕಿಟ್ಟ 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 ತಕ್ಕುಡು ದಿಕ್ಕುಡು ತರಿಗಿಡದ ತಕ್ಕುಡು ದಿಕ್ಕುಡು ತಕ ತರಿಗಿಡದ ಕಿಣ್ಣಂ ಜಕ್ಕಿಣ್ಣಂ ತಕ ಜನ್ನ ಕಿಟ್ಟ ಕಿರ ಕಿಟ್ಟ ತಕ್ಕುಡು ದಿಕ್ಕುಡು ತರಿಗಿಡದ ತಕ್ಕುಡು ದಿಕ್ಕುಡು ತಕ ತರಿಗಿಡದ ಕಿಣ್ಣಂ ಜಕ್ಕಿಣ್ಣಂ ತಕ ಜನ್ನ கிடம் ஜக்கிடம் தக ஜன கிட கிட கிட்ட தக்குடுதி குடு தரிகிடத தக்குடுதி குடு தக தரிகிட தக கிடம் ஜக்கிடம் தக ஜன கிட்ட 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 தக்குடுதி குடு தரிகிடத தக்குடுதி குடு தக தரிகிட தக கிடம் ஜக்கிடம் தக ஜன கிட்ட 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 தக்குடுதி குடு தரிகிடத தக்குடு திக்குடு தக தரிகிட தக கிண்ணம் ஜக்கிண்ணம் தக ஜன்ன கிட்ட 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 தக்குடு திக்குடு தரிகிடத தக்குடு திக்குடு தக தரிகிட தக கிண்ணம் ஜக்கிண்ணம் தக ஜன்ன கிட்ட 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 தக்குடு திக்குடு தரிகிடத தக்குடு திக்குடு தக தரிகிட தக கிண்ணம் ஜக்கிண்ணம் தக வினையரவேல் வாங்கும் பெருமாள் அடியினை தொழு மனமே ஜக ஜக வினையரவேல் வாங்கும் பெருமாள் அடியினை தொழு மனமே ஜக ஜக வினையரவேல் வாங்கும் பெருமாள் அடியினை தொழு மனமே ஜக ஜக தொங்கிட நல்கிட தொங்கிட கிட தகி தொங்கு நாங்கு தொங்கிட நல்கிட தொங்கிட கிட தகி தொங்கு நாங்கு தொங்கிட நல்கிட தொங்கிட கிட தகி தொங்கு நாங்கு தாஹத தோகிட தோகிட கிட தகி தோகிட தோகிட கிட தகி தோகிட கிட தகி நல்கத கிடனக தாஹத தோகிட தோகிட கிட தகி தோகிட தோகிட கிட தகி தோகிட கிட தகி நல்கத கிடனக நக ஜகனக தானம் மயிலேறி கைலாசம் கண்ணை சுழலவரும் இளையவனே தொழுவார் தாளவிதம் வரப்புடையவனே கானம் மயிலேறி கைலாசம் தன்னை சுழலவரும் இளையவனே தொழுவார் தாளவிதம் வரவுடையவனே கானம் மயிலேறி கைலாசம் தன்னை சுழலவரும் இளையவனே தொழுவார் தாளவிதம் வரவுடையவனே ஜெக்கிடு ஜன கிட்ட ஜனகிடு ஜனகிட கிட தகி ஜனகிட கிட தகி ஜெக்கிடு ஜன கிட்ட ஜனகிடு ஜனகிட கிட தகி ஜனகிட கிட தகி கடல் கிழிய மலை முறிய வரும் முருகன் என்னை வினைய அருளது பெறலாம் கடல் கிழிய மலை முறிய வரும் முருகன் என்னை வினைய அருளது பெறலாம் கடல் கிழிய மலை முறிய வரும் முருகன் என்னை வினைய அருளது பெறலாம் தக்கிடு தக்கிட கிட தகி தக்கிடு தக்கிடு கிட தகி தக்கிட தகி தாக்குதி குப்த கீட்ட தொங்கிட கிட தகடன் தங்கி கிட தகதி கீதாம்
Okay. So Thank you, team, Bharatanatyam team who did a good job. So now it's Kathak. This is another classical dance form. So Kathak is a classical Indian dance from North India that originated more than 2000 years ago. The word Kathak is derived from the Sanskrit word katha, which means story. Kathakars were storytellers who conveyed the stories from the ancient scriptures through dance and music. The Kathak dance form specializes in rhythm, footwork, stylish movements, facial expressions. Today we have the Kathak dance is presented by the students of Sambhav School of Kathak. And the music is provided by Ishira Parikh and choreographed by Rachna Agarwal. The dancers are Divija, Anika, Anjana Gosami, Ishita Gupta, Shivashri Nagavarapu, Avantika Sen Gupta, Vani Sundar, Aditi and Sachi Vallam. Welcome.
कस्तूरी तिलकं ललाटफलके वक्षस्थले कौस्तुभं कस्तूरी तिलकं ललाटफलके वक्षस्थले कौस्तुभं नासाग्रे नवमौक्तिकं करतले वेणुं करे कङ्कणं सर्वाङ्गे हरिचन्दनं च कलयं कण्ठे च विजयते गोपाल चूडामणि विजयते गोपाल चूडामणि विजयते गोपाल चूडामणि बाल गोपाल कृष्ण पाहि पाहि नीलमेघ शरीर 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 नित्यानन्दं देहि बाल नन्दबाल गोपबाल गोपबाल यदुबाल यदुबाल नन्दबाल गोपबाल गोपबाल गोपाल कृष्ण पाहि पाहि नीलमेघ नीलमेघ शरीर नित्यानन्दं देहि 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 बाल नन्दबाल गोपबाल गोपबाल यदुबाल यदुबाल नन्दबाल नन्दबाल गोपबाल गोपबाल नन्दबाल नन्दबाल गोपबाल गोपबाल यदुबाल यदुबाल नन्दबाल 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 गोपबाल गोपबाल यदुबाल नित्यानन्दं देहि बाल गोपाल कृष्ण पाहि पाहि
That was awesome. And Jannavi is studying in Rocky Hill High School, right? You're
Sophomore.
sophomore. Thank you, Jannavi. Now I would like to invite Purnima Shah. She's going to talk about the next dance performance.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, thank you, Rock Hill Historical Society and Karaje Belton Library to hosting this Diwali event. We are going to perform Garba, and Garba is a folk dance performed during the Navratri and also in the weddings, especially in Gujarat, which is a state in west of India, and nowadays it's celebrated all over the world. So, just to introduce myself and my friends, I'm Purnima Shah. I'm also lives in Rocky Hill. All are from Rocky Hill, and our kids are also studied in Rocky Hill High School, middle school. Now they all are like grown up and out of Rocky Hill. But so first this is Priyanka Chandra, Trishna Desai, and Niti Oberoi. We four are going to perform. And trust me, we are not trained dancers, just like you saw these people. And this dance form is like, you can also join when we dance. So I will expect at the end, if you all can join us, it will be fun.
जगने जगाड़ तारा पड़कारे अंबर आगाजे चाचर ना चौके ने गब्बर ना गौख जोग माया रे जोगणियो नाचे मंदिर उघाड़ माड़ी जगने जगाड़ तारा पड़कारे अंबर आगाजे चाचर ना चौके ने गब्बर ना गौख जोग माया ने जोगणियो नाचे गरबाना दीवा मां खेला रे भक्तों ने माडी ना पगला पर खाया धरणी थी आप लगी जयकारा गूंजे लहराती रे ओढ़नी नी छाया के जोगणी जोग माया के जोगणी जोग माया के जोगणी जोग माया के जोग माया के जोगणी जोग माया साध दई बोलावे भक्तोए होकारा नभમાં પડખાય ધરતી ધ્રુજે અને કંપે દિગપાળ એવા પડકારા જો જન સંભળાય માંડીને સાધ દઈ બોલાવે ભક્તોએ હોકારા નભમાં પડખાય ધરતી ધ્રુજે અને કંપે દિગપાળ એવા પડકારા જો જન સંભળાય અરે ખપ્પર છે હાથ ગળે સોહે રૂંઢમાળ ઘૂમે માડી કરાલ રૂપ કાયા ધરણી થી આભ લગી જયકારા ગૂંજે લહેરાતી રે ઓઢણીની છાયા કે જોગણી કે જોગણી કે જોગણી કે જોગણી જોગમાયા
You want your phone? Okay, thank you. Good job. Well, I don't know about you, but I think I'm pretty excited to take some Indian dance classes. Yeah, I like that. That was very nice. We got to get some guys up here next, right? Where are the guys? No guys? We got Indian guys there? Well, come on. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. We are now going to move into our arts and crafts section, and then there'll be food. And that's going to happen at the same time. But I'm going to introduce Melia to talk about the arts and crafts, and then I'll come back and just tell you what we're going to do for food.
Hi. So because we have the different tables, we will have the food on the side closer to the kitchen. And for the crafts, we have 2 crafts that are available. There's a painting a clay dia. And our request, because you're going to be painting on those, if you paint a dia, to be at a table that has a plastic tablecloth. So there's some red plastic and white plastic tablecloths sit at that table. If you would like to do a dia wall hanging, so we'll show you how to fold the dia and then put the little flame in it, and there's a little ribbon. I should have had my little demo up here. You can sit at one of the tables that has the paper on it, and that one will be folding it, doing some gluing, and we can do it until the supplies are gone. I know we're running over a little bit on time, but if there are supplies available, I would start with one, and if there's time and supplies available, you can do the other one as well.
I hope everybody got all that. So those who are interested in doing the crafts, I think you have to do a little moving, right? And follow Melia. Melia, do you have other people that are helping you, Melia? Other volunteers? Do you have other? Raise your hand if you're helping. Stand up if you're helping. And those, come forward if you're helping a volunteer so you can help Melia right here. Those of you who are interested in doing the crafts. Others who are interested in having food right now, you can, it's in the back, and you can, it's a self-serve thing. And so I ask you to just walk in back and make a line back there. I want to thank everybody for coming. Enjoy yourself over the next half hour or so. Bye-bye.
Thank you, dancers. That takes lot of practice to actually get this graceful performance. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to introduce one more dance form, Kuchipudi. It originates from a village named Kuchipudi in Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, developed as a religious art linked to traveling bards, temples and spiritual beliefs, like all major classical dances of India. The dance will be presented by student of Mrs. Sharada Nui, Lasya Vinyasa Dance Academy, and the dancer is Jannavi Kilo.